Daily Devotion with Pastor Balla for May 17th, 2025. More of life's seasons from Ecclesiastes chapter 3, 5 through 8. A time to cast away stones, and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to seek, and a time to lose. A time to keep, and a time to cast away. A time to tear, and a time to sow. A time to keep silence, and a time to speak. A time to love, and a time to hate. A time for war, and a time for peace. The continuation of Solomon's poetic reflection on time reveals even more of the complexity of human life. With a rhythmic pairing of opposites, these verses acknowledge that life is a mixture of gain and loss, connection and distant, action and restraint. Through it all, the key theme remains. Everything has its time. And that time is appointed by God. The diversity of seasons described here challenges any attempt to simplify life into a single pursuit. One cannot always be building, always be gathering, always be speaking. There are times when stones must be cast aside, remnants of what no longer belongs, and times when they must be gathered to build anew. There are moments to embrace, others in love and comfort, and there are moments when wisdom or necessity calls for restraint. To seek and a time to lose reminds us of the humility required in living. We do not always find what we are looking for. Even the most diligent search may end in surrender. In the same way, we must sometimes relinquish what we have. A time to keep and a time to cast away. This reflects a stewardship of both possessions and relationships, knowing when to hold and when to let go. In a time to tear and a time to sow, we may think of garments torn in grief or torn relationships in need of healing. God gives seasons for mourning, but He also grants seasons for mending, for forgiveness, for reconciliation. A time to keep silent and a time to speak calls to mind both the wisdom of restraint and the courage of confession. There are times to wait quietly before the Lord and times to proclaim His truth boldly. Even a time to love and a time to hate teaches us that godly love is not blind tolerance. There is a time to hate evil, to stand against what defies God's will. There is also a time for peace, but also a time when conflict must be faced, especially the spiritual warfare we endure against sin, death, and the devil. These seasons are not random. They are woven by God into the tapestry of life. We often struggle with the timing, wishing for peace when war comes, silence when speech is needed, comfort when loss arrives. Yet the one who fears the Lord finds rest in knowing that our times are in His hands. Christ entered time to redeem every season. In Him, each moment, joyful or sorrowful, is held in the loving will of God, and nothing is wasted. God's peace and many blessings be with you, and thank you for listening. And please take an opportunity to share this message with others.